immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information.
We know you value buying local, especially when it comes to your magical supplies. So if you're looking for grimoires, decks, jewelry, candles, or herbs that are locally sourced, then come on down to Magus Books and Herbs. Curated for your ritual, ceremonial, spiritual, and spellwork needs, we've got all the tools to make your working extra. So make that prosperity ritual one that keeps on giving by visiting us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or visit us online at magusbooks.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 58, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 75. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and happy Tuesday, everybody. Last night we had quite the exciting episode, and tonight we're just going to be talking paranormal, what's on your mind, anything that you want to talk about. It's just me tonight. I have some things that I want to talk about and some things I want to bring up. But it's, whatever's on your mind, put it into the comments. I can't take phone calls tonight, but I can take the comments and we can go from there as well. I want to start off by saying, first of all, everybody I get on the show, all the guests I get on, I am so excited. Like yesterday, we had Joe Prozit on talking about his creative process of writing his psychological slasher novel. Just pretty incredible. Today, I pre-recorded an episode that's going to air a week from tonight. If anyone ever remembered the alien abduction that happened, reading about it, I should say, in 1961, you have Barney and Betty Hill, and they were abducted. They lost time. They had no idea what was going on with them until years later, when they started to get they did hypnosis, they did all sorts of things, and this was something that they really wanted to keep to themselves. Quite honestly, they didn't want this to be a big deal. They told their family about it and stuff, but it got out eventually, and it became for us one of the great alien abduction stories, and I would even say really one of the first that really kind of set forth what we understand those alien abductions to be. Why I'm bringing it up today, I had the opportunity to interview their niece, and her name is Kathleen Martin, and she has really kind of taken up the mantle from Betty Hill. Barney Hill sadly passed away in 1969. But Betty, for the rest of her life, she talked about, just UFOs in general, aliens in general, all that stuff. And it's really incredible. But then you have Kathleen, who actually, she wrote a book, and she wrote a number of books, and she wrote one about the two with Stanton Friedman, who is or was unfortunately one of the foremost researchers in ufology. He had passed in 2019. I had the opportunity to meet him once. We weren't able to record her live. Isn't that an oxymoron? We weren't able to have her on the show live because it's too late for her, and that's totally understandable. But she's like, I'm more than happy to talk about it. If you are interested, it's going to be over on Patreon right now. The episode, I had an early release of the episode on my Patreon page, patreon.com /GhostBox Radio. It's going to air next Tuesday. It's fantastic. But then her and I got to talk a little bit afterwards, and I recorded that. And I'm going to put that on Patreon next week for those who want to hear. It's not much, but it's really interesting. And I actually, I really wanted to talk with her about my situation I had a couple years ago when I did Spirit Box Session, and I tried to bring through some alien. And what happened to me was something I won't forget anytime soon. But I talked to her about that, and I was really surprised, to be perfectly honest, what her thoughts were on that. And that's not part of the episode, but we talked about it afterwards, and I recorded it. And I also showed her some drawings that we had of a ship that John and I had seen a couple of years back as well, and got her opinion on those. So I'm going to post that on Patreon next week after the episode airs. And then once again, that's patreon.com /GhostBox Radio. It starts as low as $3 a month. And quite frankly, all of that really just helps me to get the books that I read when I interview authors. It also helps with certain memberships that are attached to GhostBox Radio. So I really do appreciate it. I have a number of people in the comments tonight that says hello. And I don't normally go through the comments and say hello on the air because it's, I don't want to take away from any guests or anything, but because it's me just by myself tonight, a number of folks on here, Joanne, Courtney, Mandy, Emily, Bruce, Russ, thank you all so very much for stopping by, saying hi. I'm in quite the gratitude mode, I think, tonight, because I really do appreciate everybody who is listening on the radio, everybody who is giving it, watching, stopping by for a second. I know that not everyone stops for the whole episode. We have busy lives, but those who do stop for any period of time, thank you very much. And I do appreciate it very much as well. And then for those of you who are watching me on Facebook, there's a number of networks that I'm on right now. I just want to say thank you to Get Haunted, who has had me on for a while now. The Paralinks one, thank you very much for continuing to allow me to post on there. And also this wonderful Facebook page called GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. Well, they don't have a choice. They have to run me. GhostBox Radio does, but you get the drift. And of course, AM 950. So we have that. And I really am excited for people to hear the Kathleen Martin episode next week, because she has such an interesting perspective. And the thing is, too, because like Emily put in the comments, didn't she write a book? And she's written like 5 or 6 of them, to be honest. And she also had a very high position in MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. And she had been there for a number of years. And since what I thought happened with Betty and Barney, because she was 13 when it happened. So she was right there on, got in on the ground level. I thought that that's what really changed her trajectory. Excuse me. It's not. It actually isn't at all. It's a part of it, but there's something else that made it even more so, which I think is pretty incredible. You want to listen to that. We also talked about the concept of whether or not like, if you have an abduction with an alien or a spaceship or whatever, they take you. I always believe that they keep coming back to you. But my question to her was, is that also like part of a family lineage at that point? Do they keep coming back to the same family over and over again? Is there maybe something like this family is almost like a case study for them? Her answers are very interesting, and you do not want to miss this. This is pretty exciting. I really, I'm sitting there like usual, like a blathering idiot trying to ask questions that are kind of nonsensical. And today was for some reason even worse than normal, but she is outstanding. And so we're going to be running that episode next week, and it's pretty incredible. Emily says that she has some, meaning Kathleen has some fascinating stories. I've watched a lot about the Hills and also about Kathleen. Absolutely, we are already talking about getting Kathleen back on. And one of the questions that I want to talk about, and let's just talk about it here for a second. I find it so fascinating. How many times, if we're investigating or we think we're in a location, and I mean like in a house or something, and we think that there is some kind of paranormal activity, and I'm going to back that down. I'm not going to say paranormal activity. I'm going to say spiritual, ghostly activity, and there's a reason why I'm taking that down a little bit. How many times we've run into that, and perhaps it's actually more of alien interaction than any sort of spiritual or ghost, that we are conflating something where we think it's like, for example, she will tell a story on Tuesday about an orb that she doesn't believe was ever an orb, like in the sense of like what we think as far as when we're trying to get ghosts and whatever else. And the reason why I want to back away from paranormal, the term paranormal, because paranormal is, all of that. Paranormal is ufology. Paranormal is Bigfoot. So all of that stuff, is that umbrella of paranormal. And we just tend to take that term and apply it to ghosts. Not everybody. I don't mean to generalize, but there's, I think, a lot of us who do that. I am one of them. So I just feel like that there's something there about how many times like we mistake something that we think is all about ghosts and spirits and whatever else, and it might be some sort of alien influence. Maybe, and my story, which I've told a number of times on here, I'm not going to go into great detail again. I don't want to bore everybody yet again with it. But my story is one where I think that there is, that they're around, meaning, dare I say it, aliens, extraterrestrials, non-humans, whatever we want to call it, that they're here and they are camouflaged sometimes. And people who are casually listening to this program, you might want to get your tinfoil hat out right now, because honestly, we do talk about concepts here that may not be exactly what you're expecting, or that maybe I'm talking about it with such certainty. But I do know what I've seen. I do know what I've felt. I know a lot of my friends who are watching on here. I know what they've seen. I know what they felt. I don't doubt them. And so when I'm saying that, I think that there is, that sometimes they're around and we don't know it. The greatest example of it to me is the film Signs with Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix. And there's that one moment that I just love on the film where they're watching news footage and they get breaking news, and it's like some party like in Venezuela or something, or Mexico or somewhere, and it's like there's like all of a sudden the home video camera sways to out the window and it's down an alley, and you see one of these like aliens just kind of walking through. And I figure the fact that with Signs that they all have this camouflage to them, like, I just don't think they're too far off the mark with it. I don't think they're too far off the mark with it at all. And I find that very fascinating. I know I'm going to sound to people who don't listen a whole lot or just kind of are very casual about all this. It's been in my house. That has been in my house. And to say it and actually be able to stand behind it is kind of tough sometimes, because it is something that, it's just like, what are people going to think about me? Well, who cares? Who cares? Because this is what I know. You don't have to agree with me. All I ask is that you be respectful about it. That's it. And, there was a point that I had done some stuff, and once in a while I still feel it. And the thing that got me talking with Kathleen today was that she gets it too, that she gets the exact same thing. And there's a reason why she gets that, but she's like, I know when they're around. And that is incredible, absolutely incredible. And I think that for somebody who was in MUFON, somebody who has been doing the work that she's been doing, I guess I didn't expect that level of, no, I'm in the know. I know what's happening. I've experienced it on a level that she has. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I just cannot wait for you all to hear it because it's such a great conversation. In the first two segments, we do talk pretty much, primarily about Barney and Betty Hill. But the third segment, we just kind of let loose, and she just explains everything that's happened to her, what she's been doing. And that's where I was like, and why do I not have a fourth segment? Why do I not have a second hour to this show? Because we could have not talked. I could have listened to her for hours. There's a big difference there. Let's see here. Let's go up to comments here. Chuck says they did a comic book series based on their encounter called Blue Book 1961 by Dark Horse Comics in 2023. I did not know that. It's very interesting. There's so much going on. There's so many levels. There's so many layers with that story that is gradually pulled away through the years. It really is fascinating. I mean, I think to a certain degree, I probably have looked at that as just, well, they were abducted, they lost time, they eventually figured it out. I know that's pretty dismissive. The more I was bringing into this more and more was that I just feel like that there is so much information that we are learning and that we've learned from this, and that how it affects and how it duplicates what other people have experienced in the same situation. Let's see here. Brianna was just talking about gratitude. Let's see. There is, Emily says there is definitely familiar aspects to extraterrestrial visits, as in it is generational. I think so anyway. And once again, Kathleen really makes a strong case of what they might be looking for when they're there. Brianna also says, I used to dream about visitation all the time. This is something that I find super fascinating. Is I wonder if when we have those dreams, and I say this about spirit all the time, how do we know that those are really dreams? How do we know that those are not, in fact, just the whole part of it is not just something really happening? Betty had tons of dreams. Well, she didn't have tons of dreams. I thought she had tons of dreams. She had 5 dreams, 5 very detailed dreams. And I talked to Kathleen about that as well. So, we're covering the gamut there. And I think it's all extremely interesting. Stacy says that she would dream about it too. You got to wonder. To Brianna and Stacy, do you believe that those are actually dreams, or do you believe that there's something more to it there? I would love your opinion on it, folks. I want you to stick around here with me, but I do need to take a break. When I come back, I want to talk about Queen Elizabeth II. She's on the move, apparently. She's haunting the world. We're going to talk about that. Plus, I want to talk about my interaction with Queen Elizabeth. I know, right? It's getting crazy over here. So much to talk about, plus your comments. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
We know you value buying local, especially when it comes to your magical supplies. So if you're looking for grimoires, decks, jewelry, candles, or herbs that are locally sourced, then come on down to Magus Books and Herbs. Curated for your ritual, ceremonial, spiritual, and spellwork needs, we've got all the tools to make your working extra. So make that prosperity ritual one that keeps on giving by visiting us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or visit us online at magusbooks.com.
What you wear is important. It should be fun, creative, and expressive of your own personality. At Grady Gear Company, we believe that clothing is more than just fabric and threads. It's a form of self-expression and a way to stand out from the crowd. Grady Gear is more than just a clothing brand. We're a community. We're here to inspire and motivate you to embrace your true self. We are a locally owned small business who do custom clothing orders too. Find us at GradyGearCompany.com.
The views expressed.
This audio mixer has a mind of its own, or maybe I'm hitting the wrong buttons. One of the two. Break came up very early. This is GhostBox Radio. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining us. It is a Paranormal Chat night, and I was sitting here getting enthralled by reading comments on the comments section, which means inevitably I'm going to mess something up, which I did, and that's okay, right? I have tomorrow to make it better. But both Stacy and Brianna, if you remember in the last segment, I asked them, they both said that they have dreams of visitation by aliens. And I did ask them if they believe that there's more to it than, just being a dream. And Stacy says that she was terrified of the dark and a vivid dreamer. Looking back, she says I think it was more than just dreams. I was also a sleepwalker, so maybe it all ties together as actual experiences instead of just dreams. I'm gonna go on the side of, I think you're right there. Brianna says, I believe it's definitely more than dreams. I think they communicate through the dream state. I think they are extra dimensional, and it's easier for them to interact with us in the delta waves. It probably very much the case, and I think that's something that I don't know how many people out there, and I think it's becoming more and more accepted, but I think, especially when we're thinking back in like the Roswell days in the 50s and 60s, that, we're all thinking that it's a UFO that is, traveling somehow across the universe to get to our planet, and, in just one ship, and it's these entities that come out of their ship and they do their thing, whatever. Now it's much more accepted that it's not conventional how they reach out to us. It's not conventional on how they communicate with us. We have, very much, Brianna, I totally agree with the delta waves. I totally think that, the travel means are through portals. I think there's portals that you can bring people into, your house. Like I said, I've done spirit box sessions reaching out to these extraterrestrials, and I got responses. And I also got an aftermath from it as well. These are things that you got to be very careful about. You cannot mess with. You cannot just do it and not realize that there are consequences sometimes. And as much as I wish that there wasn't, and last time I had done it at my house, there was serious consequences. It's one of those things that, why not? I'm sorry. The responsible person in me should be, and I will never do it again. I can't guarantee that. In fact, I will be going this weekend and attempting a CE5 experiment, which we talked about before, which, if you think of it this way, close encounters of the third kind, which is seeing a ship, that's a CE3. So a CE5 is meeting them face to face, getting to actually see them, communication. And the way that I'm going on, I might as well just tell you the whole episode with Kathleen. But Kathleen and I talk about CE5s, and I was relieved and extraordinarily happy to find that her take on CE5 in terms of how you perform it, how you do it, very much matches not only what I think it should be, but how it should be done, which is using obviously positivity, having a really strong and a good idea, like a good intention set, and being smart with your intentions. All of that stuff is very important. And we're going to be doing that this weekend. We're going to be out in an area outside that, unless it's raining, it's going to be super, super clear skies. And we are going to do it. We are going to reach out. That's going to be probably Saturday night, Friday. And, I don't want people, mass hysteria of sadness when I say this. There will not be Casual Friday this Friday. We will do a replay, but I have a private location that I can't say where I'm going to be doing a paranormal investigation Friday as well, which is, to me, very exciting, obviously. And I got a ton of them that just kind of come up here in after not really doing some for a while. I got some really cool things that have come up that we're going to work through and see what we can get scheduled, because I'm hungry for it, right? I really am hungry for it. Let's see here. Emily says, I think maybe dreams are more of a side effect versus communication. I fully believe they're able to communicate face to face. I think so too, but I think what I'm kind of getting at here, and I don't know if Brianna and Stacy agree, disagree, whatever. What I'm saying is that if you're dreaming about it, they're there. You're just mistaking it as a dream. You are just, or they're trying to get you to accept it as a dream so you don't go into it any further. I think that's part of, like, when we're talking about Benny and Betty Hill, I think that was a big part of what the big part of that story is that the extraterrestrials wanted them to forget. They did not want them to remember what had happened to them. Benny was in some kind of trauma from it, and I do not blame him one bit. Though I say that to Kathleen, and she really sets me straight on that, which is totally fine. But it's Betty who is just like, no, I want to know more. I want to know more. It's, you're not gonna, because he says, the alien says to her, you will forget, and she literally is like, no, I won't. Which is great. She's like, nuh-uh, I ain't gonna forget. You know what? So yeah, it's definitely it's funny. I love that. I mean, and she seemed very strong-willed, and thanks to her being that way, so much of what happened is what makes it us to know what that experience was. So let's see here, going through comments more. Brianna says, tinfoil hat moment. I might just rename this program Tinfoil Hat. I used to believe they were looking for me, so I moved around for many years trying to avoid them. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think you're alone. It is interesting, isn't it? And you got to ask, because here, first of all, our show is a safe place. I would never be like, well, that's silly, because it's not. Because I do believe if someone believes that, there has to be something to it. I think there's something more to it than just like, it's kind of silly. No, what is it? I wonder what that is. I wonder what that purpose was. And there's so many things that could be. And that could even be like a past life thing for all I know. It's such an interesting thing. Thank you for sharing that, Brianna. I really do appreciate it. And folks, remember, as always, anything that you share on here about yourself, any questions you ask, GhostBox Radio is always a safe place. And quite frankly, for those watching us on any of the Facebook networks, Get Haunted, Parallax, GhostBox Radio, for the other shows that are on there, I think I could speak for them very clearly that it's a safe place if you want to share on their stuff as well. All we want to do is get as much information as possible so that we can learn more. So thank you for that. Carol, hi Carol. Carol says, do you think Bigfoot is really alien? I think Bigfoot personally is I mean, this is an opinion that I have formed over the past year in particular. Bigfoot is more in tune with elementals. So elementals being another form of spiritual energy that my thought is that the elementals actually protect Bigfoot, because when I been out, anytime I've been out doing any sort of Bigfoot watching, trying to communicate with them, when we start seeing things that are like fairies, elementals like that, light anomalies that don't quite make sense, that are not lightning bugs, nor is it eye shine, that they seem to precede. So when you start seeing that, I think it's a good indication that they are there scouting the area before any of our forest friends come through. So I personally, and that was a theory, that is not a fact that I laid out there, that is a theory, but I personally believe that Bigfoot is not necessarily alien, but more of an elemental sort of spiritual, actually more evolved from elemental, but works with elemental, if that makes sense. What I think is really crazy about it all, though, is that when you think about it, and I've said this before, and I talked to Kathleen about this today as well, the thing that kind of has blown my mind in the recent year of everything is it doesn't matter how you want to communicate with spirit, your forest friend, or an extraterrestrial. It's all done the same way because it's all energy. It's all putting out intention via energy, positive intention. You want to be able to show whoever you're reaching out to, just like how we would speak to each other. If I come up to you, Carol, and I'm like, hi Carol, how are you doing? I see that you've always been watching the show. I really appreciate it. That's a positive. You're going to want to talk to me. But if you go in there with something that isn't positive, with someone just like either yelling or, there's so many of the Bigfoot hunters, for lack of a better term, and this is once again a theory, so many of those Bigfoot hunters out there, like the shows Finding Bigfoot, they don't want to kill anything, but they're still out there with aggressive things. Like I don't think they have guns, but I think it's more aggressive. And I think that's why a lot of them don't see it. I don't think they have the same mindset as people who kind of take it from an energetic, spiritual sort of place. Once again, that is a theory. That is just where I think. Doesn't mean I'm right, but it's certainly kind of where I'm at. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. Carol does say that she's like, that's interesting. I have such a soft touch for them. They don't have, I mean, they have, I've been touched by one. It's not soft, but it doesn't hurt either. But it is something that is very, that you got, we were very careful when we were out looking for them. I don't call it hunting, just like I don't call paranormal investigations. I don't call that ghost hunting. It's actually a pretty big pet peeve of mine, to be honest. Don't call it ghost busting either. I will not take that. But it is certainly something that I find it's that, that you got, it's all about approach. And it's just so interesting because it's the way that we interact with our peers, people who we know. There is no difference. So yeah, it's tough. So let's see here. What else do we got here? I saw Laura just left, but she did say before she left that that she gets dreams, messages and dreams. So that's good to know. Let's see here. Stacy says, agree with that. Like the trauma would be too much for making it seem like a dream would be more acceptable. I have other friends who have had very vivid dreams about aliens. It's incredible. And the fact that they are so similar to other people who have dreams, like not like, oh, they're grays that have like big black eyes, oh, obviously that's, we all know what we think they look like, so that's not too astounding. But I'm talking about people who've never met, who have had same type of dreams, like same scenarios, where they are actually, if you look at the dreams themselves, shows that they are actually not that they have more of an active role in this alien existence than just being human observers or even human guinea pigs, that they have actually possibly have taken part in some sort of procreation. And that is something that I find really interesting because I've heard it from about 3 different people. I know that they have not met. I know that they are not in the same circles. It is not like someone said something and, it's on your mind, so you dream about it. This is something that I feel like is like embedded, that might come out, that might come forward, or something that actually they're experiencing. And what if, you don't have to always take your body, but you're taking your essence and adding that, bringing that onto a ship, bringing that somewhere. And so your body may still be in the same spot, but your essence is what's being moved. And that's why you're still able to experience it, because it is still happening. Once again, theory. It's, I am not saying that, I'm not saying that it would be 100% true, but that's what I feel, at least. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's see, anything else here? Emily says, poor Barney, it would be hard. They were a biracial couple in the early 60s. He really went through it. And when you listen to Kathleen on Tuesday, or if you get it from Patreon, I wouldn't say no. I could certainly do with some more subscribers to that page. It can't get more blatant than that, can it? But when you listen to Kathleen, you're gonna see what that family had done and what they have achieved, and what they have achieved because Barney was part of the NAACP. They had really worked to make people's lives better. And is that the question? Is that what drew these extraterrestrials to them? I don't know. It's certainly interesting. Let's see. Chuck says, I've had one time been placed under anesthesia, and I was able to see something that happened to my cousin 2 states away, and we're not even blood related. What? You're a freak. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. Sorry. It's like, what is that? That's incredible, Chuck. Wow. That's incredible. That is really something. That is really interesting. Hopefully everything was all right with your cousin, first and foremost. Wow. I'd love to know more about that. Thank you for sharing that. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's take our next break. We never did get to Queen Elizabeth, so we can still get to her. She's here waiting for us. We can talk about her, but you fill up the comments. I much rather talk about that, quite frankly, because I love what you're all saying. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Gritty Gear Company is a great place to go for clothing that is fun and expressive. But did you know we also do custom orders on demand? We've worked with all types of companies and organizations, from first responders to even a certain radio station. Our team is here to help you look amazing. Our clothing is of the highest quality, and you will love your logo on the finished product. We are a locally owned small business who simply wants you to look great. Find out more at grittygearcompany.com. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We will see the return of psychic medium Refined Divine. Deb is going to be in the house tomorrow to do one-question readings. And for those of you who take part in it, you know that it's a fun, crazy night, a lot of great energy, a lot of laughs, but also really trying to help people. And with the questions that she's bringing in, one of the things that I always enjoy about Deb, too, is that she is not afraid to bring up, to talk to people's loved ones who have passed. Not everyone wants to do that because of just the energy and whatnot, but she has no problem with that whatsoever. So if you want to go and get a reading and ask about someone who have passed, go ahead and do so. She's great. And so that's going to be tomorrow. Also, I am going to be at an event with her. I'm going to be speaking on the 18th of August. And we're going to be over at the Rochester. It's the Eagles Club. I've been there before. It's really cool. And I'm very honored to ask to speak. I'm going to be doing so 1:30. It's an event that Refined Divine is putting on. It's the Refined Divine Psychic and Holistic Healing Fair. Go to Refined Divine on Facebook and you're going to see more information about that. That's coming up, so please go check that out. It is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. And then I've been added to another one, but we'll talk about that as we get closer to that as well. Also, before I forget, tomorrow at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka, we have Ghost Stories and Beyond. That is going to be at 6:30. I've not done a very good job on my personal pages and my other pages to promote it, but we're all ready. We're all ready to do that tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's we get together, we talk about what people's experiences are, what our experiences are. $10 to get in, half price burgers. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please come on out, say hi. But also, don't forget to bring your ghost story, or if you've had some sort of UFO experience or Bigfoot experience, or you just have questions. We find that the people in the audience have a lot of great experiences, and that they're not afraid to share their experiences. Once again, that's a safe place. Anyone can talk about whatever they want, and we hope to see you at Ghost Stories and Beyond on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka. Now we're going back here. Let's see. Carol has something here. I didn't read this, pre-read this, so we'll see how this goes. I have a very good friend who lives in Duluth. Many years ago, once told me he was on one winding road late one night. A blinding light shone in his car, and he remembered seeing a saucer-type shape. He froze what seemed like minutes. He found himself outside of his car, sitting on the side of the road. He had burn-type marks on his arm, and it was hours later. He had many dreams after it, and it changed him to this day. I don't know. That seems to me exactly what we're talking about, doesn't it? Especially the lost time, especially the marks, and that he's having dreams, and it's changed him. Going back to Betty and Barney, it changed them. Kathleen's experience, it changed her. My experience last year, it changed me. It happens. And people who don't know that they've had it happen to, or haven't experienced it, they don't know. They literally do not know what it's like, and that it is not something that it's not always a good thing. Maybe they don't mean harm, but it's not. And just as I'm saying that, that you have Carol, and she says, and he has scares still from it. Yes. I mean, I could still feel the energy from what happened to me. Carrie says that I've never been lucky enough to experience seeing a UFO, but we know we saw Bigfoot in Savannah State Forest. Oh, that's very cool. It's interesting how, and I feel the same way before my experience. It's like, I want to experience this. And, oh, he has scars from it. Thank you, Nancy. Well, I could also see being scared from it still, too. Thank you for that, though. Carol says that he has scars still from it. But I can also see how, we want to experience the unknown. And, I'm certainly not one of those people who are like, well, careful for what you ask for, because you just might get it. That part is true, but I do not blame Carrie at all for wanting to experience it. And I want to experience it again. And I want to experience it again, knowing full well that you got to be careful. You have to be very careful about it. You just don't know what's going to come of it, like how it's going to affect you. And, it just even like say that I am, I'm all ready for it. I want this to happen to me. If it doesn't happen when you want it to happen, it's going to really have an adverse effect on you. Carol's friend, even if he wanted it, he wanted to experience it, he probably didn't want to experience it while driving on a winding road somewhere and losing time and having scars from it and not knowing really what happened. But it doesn't happen on our schedule, and it doesn't happen the way we want it to happen. Brianna says, once you've been touched, it changes everything. And I think that's the same with all of it, right? Spirit, Bigfoot, aliens. And so, like Carrie, you saw a Bigfoot in Savannah State Forest, do you think about it often? And it's not like are you scared of it or anything? But I mean, it's now with you. It's now with you forever. It's someone's going to ask, well, what what did it look like? What everything, and it's just burned in your mind. The one I saw is burned in my mind. The moment is just, it's always there with me, and it's a good moment. It's a very good moment. Carol also says her friend who had that experience, and he didn't believe in UFOs. I too would love to see one. Yeah, and I think there's a difference between seeing one and having that abduction. It's I think there's a big difference there, right? I mean, I think a lot of us would be happy to see a craft in the sky. I want to see one. I do want to see one, and that's why we're going to try this weekend to see one. We're going to go to a location that we think we have a good chance with. We have protocols. We have we have something that we think that we could do to bring them forward. At least try. And I think a big thing with that, which I think a lot of people don't always realize, if you want to see this stuff, and I hate to say it, even spirits, don't have a lot of gear, don't have cameras, don't have stuff that they know will document them. I think, and Cheryl Lynn Carter, who is an author and has been on our show a number of times, she wrote about, Skinwalker. She's written about great, wonderful stories about alien abductions and stuff. And I mean, testimonials, not made up stuff. And she talked about her CE5 experiences, and that she had one really good experience that was off the charts. It was like right there, like they experienced having these entities with her. The next time they did it, they brought some cameras and stuff. They wanted to, and they had like a small crew there. They really wanted to document it. Nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. And I think there's something that we can learn from that. What are we doing this for? Are we doing this because we want to experience it, or are we doing this because we want to document it and share it with everybody? Because even though that sounds like that should be fine, I don't think it is. I think that we need to have these I think it has to be your own personal growth to be able to want to have these situations, so that it's not like Monday I come back on my show here and I'm like, you should see what I got. It should be more of like, I wanted to meet them, and I had my opportunity to do so, and that was my moment. That's how I see it, at least. I think too many people want to, try to break the internet by sharing stuff like that, and I just don't think that that's the way to do it. Carrie says, regarding seeing Bigfoot in Savannah State Forest, she says she thinks about it all the time. It wasn't scary, but we couldn't believe what we're seeing. That's exactly what I had. There wasn't an ounce of fear in what we were doing. It was just like, this is we look at it. It's there. He's there. Unbelievable. The only part for us, and I mentioned this before, that was scary was coming back, because we went right down to where we saw this entity. And once we were walking back, it was just Shar and I, and we were walking, and there was something on the other side of the trees, because there was like a nice wall of trees between us that was mimicking our footsteps. So we'd be walking, you could hear something on the other side walking. And so when we stopped, it stopped. And you could hear some movement, like a little bit of movement. Okay, let's keep going. We start walking again. Whatever's on the other side starts walking with us. It could just be curious, but boy, that's scary. That's some scary stuff there. I don't care who you are. That's scary. I mean, that's tough. And it's, knowing like the next night we are probably about 10 to 30 feet away from one. Like I said, one touched me on the back of my head, which I will never forget. But we're so close, and it wasn't really fear. There was one moment that I was just a little like leery, because they had the eye shine, and the eye shine was about 30 feet away or something in the forest. And I just was being very I was just gushing over this person, and their eye shine disappeared. And eye shine is the lights that come from these forest friends' eyes. And I saw the lights go out, and I'm using my spirit box, and I'm like, did you leave me? And it reappears about 3 feet away from me. And that's that's kind of frightening. So there is that as well, and that's just how it goes. So honestly, for those, and I'm not here to say, if you want to try to reach out to extraterrestrials, if you want to try to reach out to Bigfoot, if you're trying to reach out to anything, if you're able to do so, more power to you. I hope you're successful. I hope that you approach it in a very respectful way. I don't think I need to say this to you folks. We've been talking about this for years now, but I hope that you get out of it what you want to, and not nothing scary and nothing that's horribly life-changing, right? Once again, folks, we never got to Queen Elizabeth. We'll get to that story at some point. It doesn't seem like people are all that worried about it. But when coming up, we'll be back on Thursday, Friday. Monday will be a new show. Don't forget to come out to Ghost Stories and Beyond tomorrow at Billy's. It's just going to be a great day. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Stay with us. Everyone, thank you for listening tonight. It was a lot of fun. And even though I won't see you tomorrow or Friday, I'll see you Monday. Everyone, have a good weekend. Take care, everybody.